It's a company that is often in the news, particularly because of its high-profile CEO, Elon Musk. But the stock price of Tesla has been really under pressure since those all-time highs just shy of $900 in January. So what next? Are we going to see another multi-$100 decline for Tesla from here, or actually is now the time to buy? Tesla is always a popular stock. I think it's probably the second or third most popular traded stock on our platform. So I thought, let's take a look at it in a bit more detail because it's not been having the best of times over the last few months. Clearly over the years done incredibly well. But if we just go back to the March lows of last year, it was trading at $70 a share, touched 900 into January of this year. And since then, given up some of those gains, and it's down below $600 a share. But it is really interesting down here. You'll know if you've watched any of the videos, big fan of trend following on this channel. So are we going to see this trend from the March lows reassert itself and the price surge higher from here? So what I'll do as usual, talk about what's been driving Tesla lately. Then we'll come back to this, look at it in more detail and see if we can get a trade on. As usual, we do have a mix of different markets with open positions. Natural gas, still the best performer, up nearly £1,000 on that trade. Big move again yesterday. The video I did on Ethereum that went out on Monday, that order got filled. So we ended up buying Ethereum, the crypto, at 3,200. We'll see how that works out, but no trades on Tesla. So let's see if we can change that. So I'll talk about them for a few minutes, then we'll come back and look at this in a bit more detail. Hello, I'm David Jones from Capital.com, and I thought it'd be interesting to do an update on Tesla, because I think actually from a short to medium trader and also longer term investing point of view, they're at quite an interesting point. So in this video, I'll talk a bit about what's been going on with Tesla lately, the slide in the share price since the all-time high. Then as usual, we'll jump back onto the platform and have a look at things in more detail, see if there's a trade to set up. I should also mention that we have launched a stocks YouTube channel. So on this channel here, we look at lots of different markets, but this is a channel that Capital.com have launched focusing exclusively on individual stocks. So if you go over and subscribe to that, you can get our stock updates throughout the week. The link will be in the description below. And of course, if you're watching this channel and you haven't subscribed, if you could click on subscribe, it helps support the channel. We do the live streams on a Friday. If you're subscribed with the alarm bell clicked, you get a notification of YouTube when we're about to go live. Anyway, let's get into things and take a look at Tesla in a bit more detail. So just in case you've been living under a rock and you don't know what Tesla is, they are an electric vehicle and clean energy company. We've seen a great performance by the share price over the last 12 months and actually going back over the years. Last year in 2020, the company sold almost 500,000 electric vehicles, and it's affordable, or more affordable than the more expensive Teslas. The more affordable Tesla 3 model ended up being the best-selling electric vehicle around the world. The company released its first quarter earnings back in April. On the face of it, these were good. The expectation was for earnings per share of about 79 cents. The company came in, beat that quite comfortably with earnings per share of 93 cents on about $10 billion worth of revenue. But the market response was still fairly muted. You're probably aware that the CEO of Tesla is Elon Musk, incredibly high-profile CEO, very active on Twitter. He's been tweeting in recent weeks about cryptocurrencies. And one of the things he tweeted last week was that Tesla would no longer accept Bitcoin for payment for its cars. And he cited concerns about climate change caused by the power used when mining Bitcoin as the reason for doing this. It did see a sell-off in Bitcoin, and it went back on Tesla's previous position not that long ago that it was going to start accepting the cryptocurrency. Perhaps one of the reasons that the share price is being hit is the poor performance we've seen in China. Clearly an important market for any car manufacturer. In March, Tesla sold 35,000 cars in China. But in April, this had dropped to 26,000 cars sold. So again, perhaps that is something that has caused some nerves amongst investors, losing pace in this important market. We saw all-time highs for the Tesla stock price in January of this year, but since then, it's been pretty much one-way traffic for a lot of it. The shares are down by around about 35% from those all-time highs. But even so, over the last 12 months, the share price is still up 250%. So it has put in a cracking performance. But what does it mean down here? So this thing's a really interesting area for the Tesla share price. Let's talk about the levels to watch, and then we'll jump back onto the trading platform. So I suppose the ultimate level on the upside is $900 a share, the all-time high, with a couple of interim resistance levels set on the way down. But I think on the downside is where it gets really interesting as to whether or not we're going to see Tesla shares bounce from here. So for me, it's all about the 500 to 539 area. 500, important psychological level for lots of investors when it comes to highly valued shares like these. 539 was one of the major lows. So as usual, to put a bit of color on these numbers, let's jump on the platform and take a look at the Tesla stock price in a bit more detail and see if there's a trade. So let's kick things off with this trend. I thought let's start off with a 20-day moving average. I'm sure you're aware with moving averages, traditionally when the price moves above, it's considered a buy signal. When the price falls below, it's considered a sell signal. It's done a fair enough job, I think, the 20-day moving average of catching the bigger swings in Tesla. The last signal we had from the 20-day was at the end of April at around $6.99 a share when the price fell below the moving average, giving a sell signal. It's still below that moving average at the moment. The moving average is coming in around 660. So that's where Tesla would need to move to break out through that moving average. But I don't think that's helping too much. Let's take a look at the RSI. So as usual, I've got a 10-day RSI, and I think it is interesting down here. If we look at where the share price is trading around 569, we're back towards the lows from March of this year. And the RSI has gone oversold down here. You can see it, I think, clearly on the chart. The last time it was oversold was when we made that low back in March. It did actually go oversold before that. You can see it went oversold at about $700 on the way down. So it took a while to work out this signal, but eventually it did mark an important base. We saw the price rally. And then to look at the previous time to that, the RSI went oversold. We need to go all the way back to March of last year. And now, of course, as we all know in hindsight, that was a major low for Tesla. So the RSI down here is suggesting that the price has got somewhat overextended. So if you wanted to be a buyer, that's one thing that adds weight to that argument. But clearly for me, as usual, it's all about the trend. And we have an uptrend in Tesla. We have an uptrend going back years. Looking at the time period I'm looking at now, picking up on the March lows, we've got a few touches on that trend line. And if we're going to expect that trend line to hold, then this is where we need to see a bounce from. I have to say, it's not quite happened yet, but from a technical point of view, it's a really interesting level for Tesla, assuming that trend was going to continue from here. Plus, of course, added into the mix, we have the lows from March. They came in at $5.39 a share. Over the last few days, the share price has traded down to about $5.60. So we've got pretty close to those old lows. So for me, as a trend follower, I do think there's an opportunity here. So for me, what I'd like to do is to be a buyer. I'm recording this ahead of the market open. So what I can do is just set up an order to buy Tesla. But the most important thing is, where's my stop going to go? The closest I'd want my stop, the other side of the March lows. So the March lows are in at $5.39 a share. So that's one number I need to keep in mind. And then I think it's quite interesting how important this sort of 540 area was. If we go back to the peak in September, it traded up to 538. And again, if you're familiar with some basic chart analysis, technical analysis, you'll know we can sometimes get the concept of old resistance becoming support. So I think this 539 level is an important one for the Tesla share price. But it's a volatile stock. If we look at things in a bit more detail, let's take a look at the short-term chart. If we take these 3 days from the 7th of May, it traded as high as 680 and traded as low as, below 580. So it can easily swing $100 over a few days. That volatility has dropped off over the last couple of days, but we need to bear in mind the volatility of something like Tesla so we don't get stopped out just in the normal day-to-day moves. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set up a buy order. So I'm going to buy it, and I'm going to put my stop the other side of 500. I'm saying that 539-ish is, I think, good support, but we could spike through that and have some volatility. I think 500 could be important psychological support. So I'm going to set it at 490. That's where my stop's going to go. It's only $70 or so away from where the price is trading now, well, $80 away from where the price is trading now. And when it comes to targets, if we are going to see a bounce from here, for me, the first logical target is a run back to the April highs, around about 780, those highs from April. After that, then again, the next obvious target, if the trend is going to continue, we're going to see higher highs, higher lows, is for a move back to $900 a share. On the flip side, I think if it loses $500 a share, the risk is we're going to pull back into this range from the September lows from 300 to around 460, that sort of area. So I think if we lose 500, it does really start to look as if that trend that's been going for 14 months is truly over. But for now, it's holding. So let me get the buy order in. So we do have pre-market trading for Tesla, and it's just opened. So what I'm going to do, they're trading just above 580. They've jumped a bit higher than yesterday's close. I'm going to buy 4 shares in Tesla, and I'm going to buy at 580. So slightly lower, 30 cents lower than where they're trading now. As usual, I'll put a stop loss in place. Put my stop loss in at 490. So the other side of $500. The price is ticking down to 580 now, and that stop at 490 means my risk is just over £250, our usual risk. Let's place that limit order. So the limit order is placed, buying 4 of Tesla at 580. That should get filled today, I think, with the volatility in the Tesla share price. And it'll be interesting to see how this turns out. You know, from a trend following point of view, we are right on the trend now. So if it's going to rally from anywhere, we're pretty much here. I've given it a bit more leeway past $500. But I think it's going to be a really interesting one to watch down at these levels to see if our trade can get filled and if we see the price move higher. That's it for the update in Tesla. We will see if they can power higher from these levels or whether they are going to continue to run lower from here. We'll come back to it in a few weeks' time. And of course, we will look at it in more detail on our stocks channel on YouTube. So make sure you head over to there. But for now, from me, David Jones and Capital.com, we'll leave things there. Good luck with your trading. For more trading videos just like this, please subscribe to our channel.